listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from Cinemajaw Studios in Chicago. My name is Matt K, and with me is
Rye the movie guy, and sitting to my left is KP.
Hello.
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we promised the Jawheads we're talking Dune, and Dune we are talking.
Dune. You know what? I was talking right before we hit record. Dune Part 2. This is the title. Why? They really missed an opportunity here, Rye. The Battle of Arrakis, the Arachnoids strike back. Something. Come on, give us a title. Part 2?
Just Part 2.
Otherwise, a delightful film.
Yes, we are going to review Dune, and in honor of the Sandworms, which is the big creature, the iconic creature of the world of Dune, we decided to discuss our top 5, what are we calling it? Underrated sci-fi creatures?
That's exactly what we're calling it.
So we didn't want, what we were trying to avoid, Jawheads, is we didn't want it just best creatures, and then we're all talking about the Predator and the, and the
Xenomorph.
Yeah, the same ones that come up, all the time.
Right, T2.
Yeah, let's talk about creatures that are really cool, that don't come up on podcasts all that often, that there are fans of, and people are like, yeah, I'd actually like to see a whole movie about that particular creature that only was maybe in a movie for 5-10 minutes or something.
Well, you're plucking my heartstrings, man.
So we're going to be talking our top 5 favorite movie creatures, Dune review. No guest. We're going to play trivia. In honor of Dune, we're playing Dune cast movie trivia, and it's set up like this. I'm going to give you 7 people who were in Dune, and it's going to be that Dune star also starred in this movie. And you just got to tell me which of the 7 Dune people I give you starred in said movie.
Okay, I'm sure I'll figure it out as we go, but now I'm really curious. Does that include the David Lynch cast or just
Dune
modern
Part 2?
Dune?
Actually, just the one we saw.
Okay, just Dune Part 2.
Correct.
So no Jason Momoa.
Right.
Okay.
No Momoa.
No Momoa.
Yeah.
We're Momoa-less.
Yes.
He's Nemomor.
It's also
Great, KP.
March. Can you believe it?
Yeah. It's March.
Unbelievable. We are in the 3rd month of the year, which means we say goodbye.
Your birthday's coming up.
Yes, we say goodbye to Florence Pugh, and we say hello to one. Are you ready for this, Matt? Because I know you're excited. One Dan Aykroyd. And I don't know if you guys are aware. I know KP's aware because KP is our engineer. KP's like, we haven't had a soundbite in the longest time. So I turned it to you, Matt. Did you get a Dan Aykroyd soundbite?
Well, unlike Miss Pugh, who's amazing in her own right, just not nearly as quotable as Dan Aykroyd. So I didn't just get one soundbite. I actually got a 6.
Oh, my God. 6 soundbites?
6. And I might get a few more next week.
Did you give all those to KP?
Of course I did.
Oh, my God. I don't know what's going on here. Obviously, we're celebrating Dan Aykroyd because he has a new movie coming out, the new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, coming out in March.
Right.
Matt goes over the top with 6 sound bites. It looks, I'm looking to my left, KP's got hands on top of the buttons. What do we got, KP?
Mabs, unacceptable.
What is that from?
So I can name what some of these are from.
That's I'm doing the thing. What it's like the Coneheads.
We come from France.
Yeah.
It is. Now that I know it is, play it one more time.
Mabs, unacceptable.
I love that one.
Yeah.
What else we got?
I have never felt anything like that in my entire life.
I have no idea.
I have a guess, but I'm honestly not sure. My guess would be my stepmother is an alien.
I was going to say Driving Miss Daisy, like maybe it was getting, touchy-feely with Daisy.
Yeah, I don't. That was his mom, dude.
Oh, Jesus, man.
We're on a mission from God.
Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
We got that one. I love that one. What else we got?
People like this are a menace to decent society.
That's got to be Trading Places.
There is no doubt.
My guess, yeah.
Yeah, I think that is correct.
What's the one with John Candy in the woods? It could be that too. I feel like.
The Great Outdoors.
No,
Yes,
so he plays
yes.
a guy from Jersey in that with a bit more of an accent, and he's kind of like an asshole.
That's why I thought he could, because he's very judgy.
No, but that one is definitely like the upper crust of society.
That's true. They were the rich family.
Yeah, let's hear it one more time.
People like this are a menace to decent society.
The way he says society, that's Winthorpe.
Isn't there anything job-related that you should be doing at this particular moment?
No clue. Stumped.
I think that's got to be Ghostbusters.
It's hilarious. but I just don't know. The guy's prolific.
Give it to us one more time.
Isn't there anything job-related that you should be doing at this particular moment?
Not positive on that one.
It's a gift to all the jawheads.
And the sixth one, what do we have?
If you want my secrets, you'll eat my sandwich.
I love Dan Aykroyd. I am so happy we're doing this.
Wow. So we have 6 Dan Aykroyd sound bites. This is fantastic.
Yeah, so KP, mix and match, baby, wherever you feel like throwing them in. Pepper us.
All right, and just like a trigger warning for the entire month of March. Maybe not trigger warning, but me washing my hands of all blood. These are not like we'll have like a picture of the board that we post in the show notes on the website.
They're not labeled.
They're not labeled. So we might get a sandwich anytime somebody does something Meeb's unacceptable. And I cannot be held accountable. Even if you do hold me accountable, I'm not going to take accountability nor responsibility for things that are my fault.
Usually I rail against the whole morning madhouse thing that we sometimes start to slide into, but
Mabs, unacceptable.
Why?
this time I'm totally okay with it.
All right. Well, let's kick off Dan Aykroyd month. We already have, but let's kick it off with a fact.
Okay, and we're going big. We're going right out of the Billy Corrigan gates because I am proud of us. We are about 5 minutes, maybe a little closer to 6 into this episode, celebrating Dan Aykroyd. We just listened to 6 things he did, and we have not once mentioned that the man is an absolute lunatic, and that is what I am here to do today. So,
In the best possible way.
in the most entertaining possible way. And here's what I'll say. Like, people slam dunk on him for his weird spiritualist and, like, UFO stuff a lot, and we're about to, too. But the man is living his best life, selling his vodka. I don't even care. But that's what our fact is that he is a spiritualist. This is a quote from him directly. I am a spiritualist, a proud wearer of the spiritualist badge, which, how do you think that's like my college degree? Honestly, it's probably less expensive, but equally as meaningful. If anything, I'm more proud of this than I am of my college degree.
Well, it's not too late, KP. You can get your spiritualist badge. I can give it to you. I'm an ordained minister.
For $49.99 on www.spiritualistsocietybadge.com.
How did you know? But since we're tight, I'll give you a nice discount, $29.99.
Thank you.
Yep.
Wow, what are friends for? He continues his quotes to say, mediums and psychic research have gone on for many, many years. Loads of people have seen spirits, heard a voice, or felt the cold temperature. I believe that they are between here and there, that they exist between the 4th and 5th dimensions, and that they visit us frequently. Which is like, we're in the 3rd dimension. So where is he getting this 4th and 5th? And where are the, like...
He's unreal. He's Dan Aykroyd.
This is why we need him on the show, because none of us have our badges to know what the hell he's talking about.
Hey, who are we to judge if we don't know? We don't know. I like the fact that he keeps searching for the unknown.
It goes deeper than that, okay? Because we're just touching on ghosts and stuff. And there's, this is like I know we did like a couple of twofers for Florence. This one's, layered. Aykroyd's great-grandfather was a dentist, but also a mystic who corresponded with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle on the subject of spiritualism, which I didn't even know Sherlock Holmes did anything with spirits. I had no idea.
Like the Hounds of Baskerville, stuff like that. There were some ghost stories in the Sherlock Holmes canon.
I also love, like, right, it's low-hanging fruit to make a gag out of this, but having a little, like, one of those mirror things in the hose in your mouth, and your dentist is like, so, you believe in ghosts? Your grandfather's telling me you gotta eat less lemon heads. You got a couple of cavities going on here. And, not only that, his great-grandfather was a member of the Lilydale Society, which is a, like,
what the hell?
Weird Canadian archivist society that in Victoria is just convincing themselves that this dentist was not hitting that nitrous a little too hard. I don't know.
Weird. The
And
Lilydale?
Lilydale
Okay,
Society,
we're
a
gonna-
historical institution. I did look it up.
Okay.
Because it's bonkers, and it's saying preserving the past for the future, and they think that this is helping us at all.
Oh, they're
The
archivists.
Aykroyds are bringing... Okay, and the last little bit, okay, because we're ignoring the elephant in the room, the unidentified flying elephant in the room, is that he believes in UFOs, and he considers himself particularly well versed in, and I don't know if this is called ufology or UFOology,
I think you can get jiggy with it.
but whatever that is,
Ufology.
he is a lifetime, until the man dies, member of the official Hollywood consultant for the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON for short.
Wow.
So whenever we're watching UFO movies, Dan Aykroyd's coming in here,
Well, he's probably writing or hosting them.
bringing Steven Spielberg, all of E.T.'s cast and crew down to the Lilydale Society in Victoria, Canada, talking about his grandfather, giving him root canals. I don't know. He served from 1996 to 2000 as the host of Sci-Factor Chronicles of the Paranormal.
All right, what's going on here? Is it ever going to end, these facts? How many facts do we got on this?
So, the
And
point
this is just day one.
He's really into this stuff.
Right.
Yeah. It's not just a passing interest.
Oh, I can obviously tell from all of that, and he must be a massive fan of the X-Files.
Yeah. Again, he's one of the biggest consultants in Hollywood on the subject. So
If you can have a spiritualist badge and be a member of the UFOology, I say we start a cult of Dan Aykroyd, okay? That is what we become. We dive deep, but we are going to get into the Lilydale Society because of how much we have researched Dan Aykroyd and his grandfather.
hey, can I be the high priest of the cult of Aykroyd?
Isn't there anything job-related that you should be doing at this particular moment?
Oh, this is going to be a great one.
Right on that one.
Oh,
Fantastic.
Ratings are either going to go up or down.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
It's anyone's guess.
It's Dan Aykroyd here. Dan Aykroyd month here on Cinemajaw. So enjoy it, Jawheads. We like to kick off these months now, going back to a segment called Interested or Ignore. We used to do this all the time back in the day, every week looking ahead. Now we're doing it just on the first
episode of the month.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we're going to look at a few big movies that we're looking forward to and see where we look at now and then what we get to when we review the films.
Cue the Klieg lights, because it's coming attractions time.
Yes, this is Interested or Ignore. We have 4 films coming out in March we're highlighting here. Let's kick this thing off, KP.
Yeah, our first one's going to be really, really easy. And if that changes anyone's mind, it is a Netflix movie. So there's no excuses. Everybody could watch it. It'll be dropped on March 8th. It's called Damsel. A young woman agrees to marry a handsome prince, only to discover it was all a trap. She's thrown into a cave with the fire-breathing dragon and must rely solely on her wits and will to survive. The film stars Millie Bobby Brown, Angela Bassett, and Robin Wright. Matt, what are we feeling? Interested? Ignore? What are we doing?
Anytime you put Robin Wright into a princess dress or a queen dress, some kind of regal dress from the Middle Ages, I'm interested. Not to mention Millie Bobby Brown. This looks like a bit of a high fantasy romp.
I do agree that it's fun to see Robin Wright in this kind of role. Excited for that. Angela Bassett, nice name to have in this film as well.
Yep.
Millie Bobby Brown is becoming Netflix's star, right? Also has those Sherlock Holmes knockoffs. What are those?
Begonia Holmes?
Yes,
Enola.
Enola Holmes films, and now Damsel, obviously Stranger Things. Really a bankable star for Netflix. This is, I think, a perfect range of movie for the streamer. Big enough where I'm excited for it, but don't feel like I would rush out to the theater necessarily to see this. I think it fits perfectly where I'd like to see Netflix be. I'm interested. KP?
I think Ryan hit the nail on the head. I'm interested too for basically the same reasons. And my reason for being a little bit more ignory if this was a theatrical release is that the color palette's kind of weird. But other than that, I mean, who doesn't?
That could have been my phone. We were watching the trailer on my screen. Maybe. I don't
And
know.
how dare you if that's true?
Maybe not.
You sullied the good name of Millie Bobby Brown, and she'll never forgive us.
I do hope the dragon's pretty cool. because it looks like she falls into a pit or some type of lair, and there's a dragon there.
Yeah, we only catch glimpses of it in the trailer.
Right, which I don't mind, you know. Let us be looking forward to something, but I hope it's pretty cool, smog cool, you know.
Wow, that's a tall order.
That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Next up, okay, in theaters March 15th for limited release, we have Love, Lies, Bleeding. 3 things we all do. The plot revolves around Lou, a reclusive gym manager who falls hard for Jackie, an ambitious bodybuilder heading to Las Vegas to pursue her dream. Their love soon leads to violence as they get pulled deep into the web of Lou's criminal family. Distributed by A24, which is a plus, the film stars Kristen Stewart, Jenna Malone, Ed Harris, and Dave Franco. It's directed by Rose Glass, whose directorial debut was in 2019 with Saint Maud. Ryan.
Very, very interested in Love, Lies, Bleeding. For one, this director did Saint Maud. I know you have not seen this film. I hope a lot of jawheads have seen it. Saint Maud was incredible. This was a hidden gem of mine when it came out. Big fan of that one. So I'm eagerly anticipating the follow-up whenever you get like a young director with a debut as strong as Saint Maud was. And then, you know, I'm a fan of Kristen Stewart. I love Jenna Malone, Ed Harris. The cast is great. And it already landed at Sundance and created quite the buzz out there. I know our friend Brian Tallarico saw it and loved it. It was one of his big movies out of the fest. So yes, very interested. Matt?
What song is that lyric from? It's driving me crazy.
Can we throw it in the fish tank?
It's bleeding. Love Lies Bleeding. I can hear it in my head. It's like some crappy 90s power pop rock band. Or maybe not crappy. I can't remember. Anyway, yes, I'm a big fan of Kristen Stewart. The rest of the cast. Ed Harris is doing his best Rob Zombie character impersonation in the trailer. Looks like there's some layers to this, a bit of a crime road story. I'm interested. I'm not as high on it as you though, Ryan.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to wait and see.
I'm interested as well.
Wow.
It's looking like a good March.
It is.
This one, I will firmly contrast my previous feelings and say that this color palette kicks ass. It is like, if you watch the trailer, it is dark and gritty in the exact kind of ways you want something called Love, Lies, and Bleeding to be. And I also, I don't know, I just think it's this is not something we've ever heard before. You know what I mean? At least I feel like we haven't.
So some originality.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
Story of like I guess there's a, but the point is it sounds cool.
Yes.
I don't think we'll see anything like it for a while or have seen anything like it before.
Agree.
Wow. We are all around interested in our first 2 picks. What do we got at number 3?
Number 3 is a big one. It's Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Why we're celebrating You Know Who.
Who?
We're on a mission from God.
That was I just
That was
panicked.
good
I
one.
picked what I did. It opens on March 22nd. The Spengler family returns to the iconic New York City firehouse where the original Ghostbusters were doing their ghost busting. When the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes an evil force, Ghostbusters new and old must unite to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age. Finn Wolfhard, Paul Rudd, the cast of the new Ghostbusters are joined by our favorites, Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, and, of course, Dan Aykroyd. We already know what one particular fan is going to say in this room, so I'm going to throw it over to Ryan first.
So he goes over to me. All right. I'm going to stun the room and actually say, I have told Matt this before. I'm not nostalgia for the Ghostbusters like some kids that grew up in the 80s were. I loved the Ghostbusters at the time, and then I think pretty much after the movie, it's all been shit. I don't think
There wasn't anything to be shit. I mean,
Cartoon was the
there was
real
a Ghostbusters 2.
kicked ass.
Obviously, you don't know that there was a Ghostbusters 2.
yeah,
Shit.
I know. It's not
Okay.
shit. It's
They
just-
rebooted Ghostbusters with an all-female cast. Shit.
yeah.
They came
That was
back with the new Ghostbusters a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it was decent. I felt like it crossed the line, like, all right, it was good. I didn't feel that it was terrible, but it wasn't like, wow, this revamped it, and I can't wait for the new one.
It had its moments.
And when I saw this trailer, it starts off so cool. They're at like some type of like amusement park on the like a boardwalk on the beach, and this cold wave comes over. And when I saw this, I didn't know I was watching the Ghostbusters trailer. I didn't YouTube this. I saw this in the theater. So I remember thinking like, ooh, what is this? I'm totally intrigued. And I have to be honest, once I realized it was a new Ghostbusters movie, I was like let down by it. I thought, oh, geez, another one of these? And Bill Murray is going to be in it? Oh, I don't know. I'm ignoring.
Ouch.
Matt.
I'm interested. Let that cat out of the bag. I don't know, maybe a little concerned, but it does look good, right? That trailer looks pretty epic. There have been better Ghostbuster stories and worse Ghostbuster stories. I really liked the last one, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think it's better than you remember, Ryan. And this one could be a worthy sequel. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm interested.
KP, we're split. What do you got?
So my two memories of the Ghostbusters that I hold fondly, because I obviously didn't grow up in the 80s, one of which is that it came out at the same time as Demon Slayer, Mugen Train did, which, Afterlife, I should say, which we all know. I loved that. And I did not see Ghostbusters because I saw that film in theaters 3 different times. So it reminds me of how good that film is. Then the other thing is that Neil Cicerega in like 2016 or something released a song called Bustin' that they reference in the trailer. That the chorus, it's just a remix of the Ghostbusters theme, but he just keeps saying, busting makes me feel good. And that's great. Other than that, the Ghostbusters do nothing for me, and I am ignoring this. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Matt.
Wow.
I can't wait for you guys to eat your words. You will eat them.
2 ignores, 1
Like
interested for Ghostbusters.
Like a Stay Puffed Marshmallow.
I am
Last
not
one.
afraid of no ghosts. The last one, okay, and this one we could call it Colossal. Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. I don't know. I should clarify. X is in the title. I don't know if it's just Godzilla Kong. I don't know what to do with this, but they're both uniting.
Godzilla times Kong.
Oh, that's
like
what it is.
times.
It's
I don't-
multiplicity.
I don't know if it is, but maybe it's like a math equation.
I wonder what it equals. It equals opening up on March 29th. Godzilla and the almighty King Kong face a colossal threat hidden deep within the planet, challenging their very existence and the survival of the human race. Millie Bobby Brown's coming back. Big month for her. Rebecca Hall, Dan Stevens, all of these people are appearing. But the true stars of the film obviously are going to be Gotti and King Kong. I'm going to throw us all for a loop here. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say, like, I am so interested in this. It's not going to be. This is Venom tier. This is everything we wanted, Madam. What this is going to be. It's not going to be a good film, but I will say, and if you watch the trailer, it's just gonna be fun. They put like this Thanos glove on King Kong, and he punches like a rock or something.
It's ridiculous.
I don't care who you are. If that doesn't put a shit-eating grin on your face, go watch The Grinch Stole Christmas and let your heart grow. It's gonna be fun.
Okay, over to me. I'm gonna say that this looks like a steaming pile of atomic breath, and I'm ignoring it. I'm sorry, KP, but the bar has been raised, and that ain't Godzilla -1. That's just some other cheap knockoff.
Every American Godzilla from the beginning of time has been a cheap
Well,
knockoff.
to be fair, this is only the second one, right? There was the Matthew Broderick one, which universally hated, and now this.
I think it's fair to
series of
say
ones.
that the original one that we got was changed enough, but this is a topic for a different show.
It is, but there have been 2 American Godzillas. This one started off good, but it's diminishing returns. I liked the Kong versus Godzilla; it was fine, but this just looks like, come on,
King of
I already
Monsters
saw
was
this.
terrible. It's going to be so much fun.
Okay.
Comes
Ryan?
down to me. Split the room here, and I agree actually with both you guys. So that makes it difficult. On KP's front, I do agree that these things end up winning me over. Somehow I watch these movies and I'm like, yeah, that was fun. It's a good time at the
He
theater.
punches a rock with a Thanos glove.
And to be honest, I've went back and I watched the first Godzilla film that kicked this series off, and
Yeah.
I've watched the first Kong Skull Island, which kicked this series off, and I enjoy those movies. I do think they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. I'm going to say ignore. but I am going to see it and enjoy it, if that makes any sense
I
at
mean,
all.
of course, I'm going to see it and enjoy it too. It's kaiju fighting. I'm there.
I will say I'm excited for March.
Yeah, it looks like a good March.
I mean, those are just 4 of the films that we're hoping to review here on The Jaw. Not to mention next week, Kung Fu Panda.
It's shaping up to be a great year because February we were mostly pretty high on our February interested or ignore too.
Yeah. Speaking of February.
Or we're just movie
Yeah.
nerds. Who knows?
Speaking of big movies, Matt, the year was 2021. We were still dealing with the COVID pandemic when Denis Villeneuve released Dune Part 1. At the time, people were not flocking back to the theaters, so Warner Brothers had the bright idea to release all their movies in theaters and on HBO Max at the same time. I start with this fact because I very much think how you experienced Dune Part 1 correlates to how much you enjoyed it. Not the only factor, but a very big one. Villeneuve made these movies on an epic scale, and seeing them in the theater was his intention. All things considered, Dune Part 1 was a hit, and Part 2 then got greenlit. Originally scheduled to come out last fall, it was delayed due to the strikes as the studio needed its stars out promoting this blockbuster. Well, it's finally here, Jawheads. Is the payoff of Dune 2 worth the wait? Matt and I rode a sandworm to the theater to find out.
It's okay. I'm here. I'm here. It's been a while since you've had one of those nightmares. Tell me, what was it about?
It's only fragments. Nothing's clear.
No doubt, one of the things people were grumpy about after seeing Part 1 was the abrupt and unsatisfying ending the film supplied. Dune Part 2 picks up right where we left off. Paul Atreides, Charlemagne, and his mom, Lady Jessica, played by Rebecca Ferguson, have met up with the Fremen in the harsh desert of Arrakis. The House of Atreides was sabotaged by the Hyrkans, who acted on orders from the Emperor. To many of the Fremen, Paul is seen as the chosen one, the Messiah who will lead them to the Promised Land. Paul's visions, however, show a future where he leads many of them to their death. He does slowly embrace their ways, gaining their trust, becoming a warrior, and eventually learning to ride a sandworm in what turned out to be one amazing sequence of the film. Paul readies the Fremen for war so they can take control of Arrakis, but his ambition does not stop there. He wants revenge on the Emperor himself. Dune Part 2 is epic in every sense of the word. The world building done by Villeneuve and his team is second to none. The story in this chapter is more explosive, so those of you that found the first Dune to be a little on the talky and boring side need not worry. The action on screen is so damn impressive, I'm already excited about seeing it a second time to take it all in again. Part 1 had a great cast, and Part 2 expands on that. A major highlight for me was Austin Butler, who plays the psychotic younger nephew of the Baron. His introduction scene in a gladiator-like moment was amazing. Christopher Walken as the Emperor was great, and I really dug Florence Pugh as the Emperor's daughter. What has always made Dune stand out are its themes that we can discuss here, such as the power of religion and faith, mixing that religion and faith with government and or military leadership. Much to tackle here. Matt, I want to start by asking how you enjoyed this immersive film on the big screen. We did see it in IMAX.
All right. If anything, I think you are underselling this movie, Rye. This is why this kind of movie is why I like movies. Period. Like full stop. This is, I would say it's the best movie I saw all year, but it's only February. I didn't like the first one. It was okay, right? Like I have the complaint that you mentioned. The end was abrupt. It didn't satisfy me. It was boring political talk. It was fine, but it was just okay. You know, it had its moments. This movie is fucking amazing. Like all the way through. This is high movie making at its peak. The sound design. We didn't even talk about that. The sound it'll rattle your teeth. It was so amazing. The score, soaring. I mean, just like
Hans Zimmer at his best.
Whoa! I mean, dude is unleashed, off the chains, totally breathtaking. The visuals, every shot of this movie is dripping with style. Everything is so thought out. The foreground, the background, the tattered cape blowing in the breeze, and you just see the silhouette of Timothée Chalamet holding up a knife in front of all these people. Amazing. Like,
gorgeous.
Holy crap. The sci-fi battles and the spaceships and stuff like that does not disappoint. This movie is Star Wars level good. I don't care what kind of backlash I'm going to get for saying that. There it is. It is Star Wars level good. And I'm not talking about the prequels, and I'm not talking about the Disney.
Wow, you're talking about the granddaddies, the originals.
The OG Star Wars, it's that good, with hints of Sin City. Like, all the style that's come after the original Star Wars has been incorporated into Dune. You got a touch of David Lynch, obviously, some Cronenberg. This movie pulls no punches. The violence is there. The story is there. The politics are there. It's just functioning on like high levels all the way around.
It really is. So one of the themes that I did want to talk about is the mixing of like religion and military leadership and or government. And it is really one of the main themes here in Dune. And it's interesting that Paul Atreides, this is Timothée Chalamet's character, the main focus here, really doesn't want to become the Messiah.
Right.
That's an interesting take. Usually when we're watching a movie that is about the chosen one.
Well, that's how you know he's a true hero.
True. But a lot of them are a lot of times questioning that they're the chosen one. But they usually aren't flat out denying it, like not wanting to be the chosen one. And I think that separates Dune from, say, Luke Skywalker or, pick your
Neo
hero. Yeah. I mean, same with Neo. Like Neo, you're going to have those doubts that you can live up to be the one, but he doesn't necessarily say, like, I'm the one and I think it's wrong that I'm the one, like Paul Atreides does here. That's very interesting. And I think it's saying something. He understands the power that he would have and that no one should necessarily have that power over people.
Well, take on that. The character in particular, this particular character, has psychic powers due to his exposure to this spice stuff on the planet Arrakis, which is what this whole conflict is really about,
right? Is
this natural resource. So he can see the future, and he also drank some worm pee. So that'll
do it to you, too. I've had that worm pee, and let me tell you.
Yeah,
that's a lot more than just future visions.
It's a spicy meatball. So I think that he has some premonitions about what happens after he gets control, and it ain't good. But going to the theme of, does that answer your question, I guess?
To a degree, but go on.
The theme of religion and military control, it's that's the whole, as I understand, the entire theme of Dune, like the books and everything.
For sure.
Largely.
Yeah. And it's done here. And
have you read the books?
I have not.
I haven't either. This made me want to read the books. And I'll be honest, the Lynch movie didn't, nor did the first one. Saw this and I'm like, all right, I got to read Dune. I'm just going to have to read them.
Yeah. I think it would be right up your alley.
Probably.
But I think what's great is that they're able to tackle such a deep theme, and we get that. And I think it's enough that you can chew on, you understand it. But like you're saying, this movie is jam-packed with action, battles, so on and so forth. So it's not like, a bunch of people in the room talking about this. And I saw Denis Villeneuve say, I want to show, not tell. I don't want the characters to talk about it. I want you to sort of experience it visually and understand where we're going with the story.
Right. It's not like
visuals.
It's not like a trade federation has set up a blockade around a planet and their blockade is perfectly legal.
Right.
It's nothing like that.
Too much talky in that one.
Yeah. Politics.
Lady Jessica, a little tidbit here, is Paul's mom, and she's pregnant, and she can talk to her unborn baby. I've never seen this.
Is that a spoiler? I don't know if that's a spoiler.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
It's just a tidbit. It's not like massive reveal of anything. I think that is really an awesome concept, and I've never quite seen it done before. There's one point where Timothy Chalamet's character is basically talking to his sister through his mom.
Right.
That was wild.
It is wild because the baby talks
My head
back.
was like, it was like spinning. I'm like, this is like the craziest shit I've ever seen.
It's crazy. But the reason I say that might be a bit of a spoiler is because the first time she says it, you don't know for sure if she's losing her mind or not.
Right.
So, spoiler alert, she ain't losing her mind.
That's pretty wild.
It's really cool. There's some great sci-fi concepts, not unlike The Force. When do the Dune books predate Star Wars?
Oh yes. Throw it in the fish tank when the Dune books were published. I think we may have even done that on the first Dune Part 1.
I remember our first, vividly. I was in Seattle still. The Dune research that you guys had me doing on Frank Hubert was out the wazoo because there's 7,000 of these.
Yeah, because we asked about the Dune books and everything.
There's three main.
The first trilogy.
Yeah,
that's where we're capping it.
Just ask the date on when those came out. They're definitely pre-Star Wars for sure.
Okay, 60s.
That's where I would put it.
Okay,
yeah. But another thing that I wanted to bring up was the sandworms, how I mentioned the sandworms.
Gotta love them.
I had known, I had seen the David Lynch when I was a young kid. And then just through pop culture, everybody would talk about, riding the sandworms. And I thought going into this.
They were talking about something completely different, right?
I thought going into this that was going to be a worrisome because
it's goofy.
It's goofy and it may sound good on paper, but could it really be pulled off in a realistic way? And I thought this is just not going to work. Not only did it not work, did it work, it was like the most thrilling thing in the movie at that point when he needs to. It reminded me very much of in Avatar when Jake Sully has to ride the dragon for the first time. Like it's that moment of you got to get on and tame the beast and show that you can do it just like.
Way to drag us down.
Yeah,
there.
with that 11 Oscar-nominated film.
Yeah, the masses are asses, Ryan. Somebody wise once told me that.
So that part, riding the sandworm, where he's got to prove himself to the Fremen, unbelievable that Denis Villeneuve could have pulled this off. And very smart, he zooms the camera in, and we really get the action of what's happening
the POV.
Right there in front of Paul. Yes, the POV trying to, grab this thing with these hooks. And eventually we get the wide shot and see how it comes through. I couldn't believe he pulled it off and made it as thrilling and realistic as he did. What could have been silly. I was blown away by it.
I do have one question about the sandworms. And this is like me thinking too much. All right. Here we have a creature, an animal, who tunnels through sand at a rapid pace, and it's covered in these armadillo-like armored scales, right? Very, very formidable creature. Why would it have scales if it's going through this dirt that point forward and not swept back?
Right.
Because that's what he hooks into.
Right. But it does seem that those scales sort of can probably normally move forward where they're not necessarily in the way of slowing it down from the sand.
But there's enough purchase there.
But just enough for him to be able to hook it and pull it up and start to guide the worm.
That's convenient.
But I mean, it was done well is my point. Let's get back on
topic
here.
That was an amazing sequence. And oh man, just the visuals, the sound, everything about it. So cool.
It really was. You mentioned the sound design, and that brings me to the fact that I know when we saw the first Dune, you watched Dune at home on your computer.
No, I was thinking about this, dude. No, I think I saw it in the theater.
100% no. I remember you saw it at home, and I saw it in the theater. And I remember, if we go back and listen to it, I remember saying, I don't know who would have ever went to the theater and not liked Dune. I mean, even if it was a little slow and had the abrupt ending, it was still what you're talking about, the sound design and the music and just the feeling of the epic scale of it all was definitely still there in part one.
I'm pretty sure I sat next to you.
No, I know you didn't. I remember who I sat next to. So I know it wasn't you. You weren't even really big on going to the theater back yet when Dune came out.
Really? When did? Okay, don't go on. Go on.
But the sound design here is just absolutely incredible. There's a lot of use of like when there's surround sound going around with different voices. Maybe after they drink some of the sandworm pee, blood, whatever it is. When we hear that, man, it was like tripping me out. I mean, really well done.
Very well done.
Another thing I wanted to bring up is more of the cast. What'd you think of Christopher Walken as the Emperor?
Dude. Who doesn't love Christopher Walken? When he walks into the room, I love that guy. He's the best. He's the best.
He's great. And you liked Florence Pugh?
Florence Pugh was a treat. She really pulled this off. Like you could see the wheels turning in her mind. Like I imagine if they do make a third, and it seems very, very likely that they will, her character will come to a bigger purpose. She was great at the end too.
She was. And Zendaya, who really gave
let's talk about Zendaya.
A wonderful performance here. She keep climbing up in my book,
Same.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Zendaya fan. Like, I don't get how people say she's super, super beautiful. I'm not saying she's hard on the eyes or anything like that. She's a very good looking woman, but I just didn't buy into the whole like supermodel Zendaya thing. She shouldn't do it for me. Whatever. That's besides the point. She was fine in the Spider-Man films. Here, holy crap. She is one of the linchpins of this movie. I think she's like the anchor for the audience's point of view. At one point on her face, we see despair and rage at the same time, and she holds that. She sustains it. There's no dialogue. She doesn't talk to anybody. It's just her expression, and it's so real and palpable. Like it's tremendous acting with just her expressions and her eyes.
Yes, I agree. I wrote down a few jaw-dropping moments. That was one of them. And it takes place near the end of the film, so I don't want to spoil it. But that reaction by Zendaya,
she does it a lot.
Incredible.
Yeah,
really is. Speaking of jaw-dropping moments, what else you got?
For jaw-dropping moments, I mean, the whole movie's a jaw-dropping moment. Like by the time the second act kicks off, you're like, oh my God. But for me, Austin Butler's introduction, when a servant walks into a room and sees the destruction that this character is capable of, and just the trembling people around him while he is just in this, I don't know what you would call it, like this mood of sick destruction and malice and sadism. It's gross and horrifying. Mm-hmm. It's like the movie almost takes a horror turn for a moment. Wonderfully done. Wonderfully done.
I have never felt anything like that in my entire life.
Thank you. Thank you, KP.
Thank you, Dan.
I hear you, because he has that moment, and then also this gladiator fight that I alluded to earlier in the review, which is kind of like his big introduction moment. And you realize this character is psychotic on a level we hadn't quite seen in a long time, where you were just afraid of what this character was capable of.
Yeah.
I loved it. Big fan of that one as well. A couple others that I need to mention here is Timothée Chalamet's speech. I think as much as I like Chalamet, he still, to me, comes off as young. And I never know.
He's got a baby face.
Yeah, I never know if he's going to like live up to that moment where he becomes the Messiah, the leader, the guy that this entire race of people are going to look up to and follow. And he finally gets his big moment of I'll lead you to freedom. And what an absolutely unbelievable moment. I mean, he doesn't just live up to the moment. Chalamet kills it, I see why he's a star. Like, oh, okay, he lived up to the moment. And then that's followed by the image that you're talking about, where his robes are flowing in the wind and those missiles go firing over his head across the desert towards the Emperor's ship.
That actually gave me chills.
It is one of those moments where it's like what you were saying. This is why I love the movie. It's like, holy crap, that is incredible. What a vision that was.
Yeah. Fury Road level amazing in scope.
Yes.
Just absolutely bonkers, this movie.
Wild.
Bonkers.
I loved it. I loved it a lot. What about a movie poster quote, Matt? What do you got?
Listen, I'm going to get hate on this again, but I'm standing behind this. This is my quote. Dune 2 is the chess to Star Wars checkers. A modern Empire Strikes Back.
I went somewhat in that same realm, I went with Dune 2 deserves a spot at the table labeled best sequels of all time.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. For sure. How many jaws you giving this thing?
This is a 4-jaw movie.
Solid 4. Yeah.
I'm with you. I was going to put best movie of the year so far, but you're right. We're only a couple months in. That doesn't have much weight to it. But this is definitely going to be end of the year discussion for a lot of reasons. Dune 2 kicks ass.
Yeah. Weird that it's so early in the year.
I agree.
Why not a summer blockbuster? I don't get it.
I mean, again, it got delayed a little bit because it was supposed to be fall of last year. Maybe they're taking advantage of this sort of like weak point because there's nothing else this big coming out until really the next big one is that Godzilla Kong one that's going to be.
Ugh.
I know. But as you said, the masses are asses. People are going to go see that. But I think Dune's going to have a few weeks at number one repeat business kind of stuff going on.
I want to see it again. I saw that the Music Box is doing it in 70.
Oh, I'm going to go over the Music Box.
I kind of want to as well.
Yeah.
I was going to go see it again in IMAX, but that might be even better.
I agree. I was looking over Twitter, and somebody that I follow here in Chicago was like seeing it for the first time tonight. I think when there was like a 7:00 showing, and they just took a picture, and the organist was on the screen, and right up by the screen playing the organ. And I thought, oh my God, I can't wait to get over to the Music Box and see it in 70 millimeter.
I got to bring Parker. That'll be my excuse. Try to get out this weekend.
All right, Dune 2 is playing everywhere. Jawheads, if you see it, like this review, want to comment on the review, anything, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw or email feedback@cinemajaw.com. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are doing our top 5 underappreciated sci-fi monsters, much like the Sandworms in Dune. Stick with us, Jawheads.
Let's all go to the lobby.
We are celebrating the great Dan Aykroyd this month, and there's 1,000,001 clips to choose from. Really, it's a glut of choice. So I wanted to get this one out of the way and start it off with the Ghostbusters. For my money, my favorite moment of Ray's stance is when he first confronts Gozer the Gozerian and starts talking to him like a city official. So here you go, Ray Stance versus Gozer the Gozerian.
Gozer. I thought Gozer was a man. It's whatever it wants to be.
Well, whatever it is, it's got to get by us.
Right.
Go get her, Ray. Gozer the Gozerian? Good evening. As a duly designated representative of the city, county, and state of New York, I order you to cease any and all supernatural activity and return forthwith to your place of origin or to the nearest convenient parallel dimension. That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray.
Are you a god?
No.
Then...
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say, yes!
Drinks, sparkling drinks, dandy, 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 dandy.
And we are back on Cinemajaw. Before we get to our top 5 and play some trivia, we threw a couple items into the fish tank, and KP has some answers for us. KP?
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up! No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, get some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Thank you both. It is delightful to be out of here. It was a little sandy, so it's nice I feel like the sandworm myself, just emerging rapidly, no less. Our first question in here, what was the song from the late 90s or early 2000s with the lyric Love Lies Bleeding? I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is a little tricky. When you type in Love Lies Bleeding, you get the Elton John song or the Dream Theater cover of the Elton John song.
Definitely not what I was thinking of.
However, we collaborated on this over break, and Matt Kay, the musical genius he is, pop culture nerd, pulled out from somewhere not good. I actually don't know where he pulled it out of. Possibly his ass.
From the sandworm hole.
That's way better than where we're going. It was Hemorrhage in My Hands by the artist Fuel in the year 2000.
Fuel. You were a big Fuel fan,
no,
Matt.
I am not.
Oh, yes,
no,
you
no,
were.
No.
Clearly the biggest in this entire room.
I worked at a bar that had a big Godsmack
Right.
and Fuel and Train and any other band with just one syllable names.
Godsmack is 2 syllables.
Well, KP. God damn it. Stop poking holes in my theory. Yes, I blame it on Mothers 2. That was the name of the bar, by the way. Go on.
No, you can blame it on Our Mothers too, TOO. You can. I'll throw my mom under the bus.
That was how
She's
they
not going to
spelled it.
listen, I hope. When were the first 3 Dune books released? So the first one, 1965. The second one, Dune Messiah, 1969. And Children of Dune, the third, was 1976. Just for reference, A New Hope came out in 1977. So that entire trilogy was before anything Star Wars was released to us.
To which I say,
Interesting.
I don't even say interesting. I just say,
George has gone on record saying that he stole everything to make those films.
Fair enough.
We all know that.
While we're still in the fish tank, as mentioned, we're looking at Kung Fu
Kung Fu Fit.
I like that. I'd see that.
Kung Fu Panda. Ha-ha. Kung Fu Panda number 4.
Oh, jeez.
Reviewing next week. I have seen all 3 of the Kung Fu Pandas. I'm a fan of this series. And maybe as a top 5, our favorite animated DreamWorks movies.
Okay, I'm down with that.
Maybe. We still got to discuss that.
The list is going to be better than the movie, which is okay. It's okay.
Then Kung Fu Panda, or then Matt,
not a fan.
Go dry up. They're awesome.
I like the first one.
They're awesome.
Really?
The second one is the best one, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. I think
the
number 2
second
is the
one
best.
is awesome.
Yeah. 3's
just
maybe
like Dune.
okay, but I'm looking forward to 4.
All right.
So, I think that's everything. Jump back in that fish tank.
You bet.
Held our top 5 till after the break, which we don't normally do. Our top 5 favorite underappreciated creatures. What do you got at number 5, Matt?
I'm actually doing an audible right here and now because I feel like Star Wars needs some love. Full of amazing creatures. Not too many of them are underrated, I would say. Like, obviously, you're not going to choose the Wookiee or even the Porg, right? Very, might
The
even say
Porg's overrated.
Overrated, right,
Yes,
with the
for
Porgs.
Sure.
But not so of one creature that I feel like doesn't get enough love. Not cuddly, hideous, powerful, the Rancor.
Yeah, that's a good call right there. Honorable mention on my list.
Love me some Rancor. I had the toy. I had the whole the Jabba's playset with the pit, the Rancor pit. So much fun dropping people in there.
Obviously appears in Return of the Jedi, and then we didn't see the Rancor again until the series Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett does have a Rancor
maybe
in it again.
Maybe a couple, right?
Yeah.
At least one.
And I was glad that I didn't like out of those television shows that they've done with Star Wars. I thought the Book of Boba Fett was probably the weakest, but I did like all the throwbacks to stuff like that. We got to see the Sarlacc pit again, and we got to see a Rancor.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Love me some Rancors.
And anytime you get more huts involved, there's a couple of huts in there. That's always good too.
Yeah, let's have some more huts, please.
Yeah, I love them. My number 5 pick. The reason why they're on my list is we don't actually talk about these creatures / aliens enough, but most of the people, when I say we, seem to love these 2 movies, and we're about to get a third one. It's the aliens with no names, even though there's a headline in the movie that calls them the Death Angels. These are the aliens from A Quiet Place. Mm-hmm. And I think what makes them so scary is actually how little we know about the creatures. That seems to drive the fear in the people in the movie and also us, the audience, because there isn't some clear-cut thing that we can latch onto and say, oh, this is exactly how you defeat these aliens,
right?
Or
Shoot them
so
in the
on and
head.
so forth. They're very fast. They have supersonic hearing, and it doesn't seem necessarily like they're eating the humans for food. It just seems like they're annoyed by the humans because of the noise, so they're killing us very quickly. But they're so fast, and we don't get enough of knowing them that we can start to figure out what's going on, and that adds to the fear. I love the way they're designed in the movie. I think they're really cool, and of course
they're like demogorgons with 2 legs.
Okay, we'll go with that. And when they do hear, the way their ears open up into multiple layers, so it makes sense that they might hear something from miles away because they got this like supersonic ear that like sort of layers out so that they can hear super far.
It's like a radar dish.
Awesome. So I like that design of the actual creature.
They're pretty cool
/
looking.
alien as well. And the Quiet Place Day 1 is coming out this summer. Looking forward to it.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
It's got that Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah. Could be interesting. All right. At number 4, I'm going back to the 80s for an underground hit starring 2 of the principal leads from the Home Alone movies. Daniel Stern and, God, can I do a late fish tank on the dad's name? Because I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays Mr. McAllister. Chud. Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers. What an amazing movie Chud is. The Chuds themselves do not disappoint. They are both cannibalistic and humanoid, Ryan, and they happen to live underground.
They're very ugly looking.
Or should I say dwell underground? Yeah, they're kind of like ghoulies. If you ripped the face off of a ghoulie and then flushed it down the toilet. In fact, that may be where they come from. I love me some Chud. Plus, it's just fun. Have you ever seen Chud?
I have seen Chud.
Okay,
but
good.
when I was a kid, I saw Chud. I mean, I have not
Your
seen it.
Your brother showed it to
yes,
you. Yeah.
But I mean, I was young, and I've never went back and watched Chud ever since then. So I'm talking maybe I saw that when I was, 12 years old or 10, somewhere around there.
Did you remember that Daniel Stern and Mr. McAllister?
No, that's why I was like, when you were talking about it, I'm like, where is he going with this? I didn't even know those two were in another movie together.
There you go.
Awesome. My number 4 pick, this movie came out in 2021. And we had gotten some feedback from a Jawhead. We didn't read it on the show, but they were commenting about Nightmare on Elm Street. And they were talking about these great jump scares that took place at a certain theater. And we read it. No, okay, great.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's really interesting because my number 4 pick actually had one of the best jump scares in many moons for me. The movie that the creature I'm highlighting is called Antlers. And it stars Kerry Russell and Jesse Plemons.
Oh, wow. You're going with the Wendigo, huh?
And the Wendigo is the creature. And the Wendigo is this...
I respect it, Ryan.
Is this Native American legend. And it looks... The creature, especially in Antlers, the way it's depicted is almost like a moose kind of like head with these antlers.
I believe it's a stag.
Is it a stag? Is that what that's...
I think.
It is?
I could be wrong.
But the body is almost human-like. Almost. I mean, it's
ape-like.
Ape-like is great. Thank you, Matt. That's why we make a good team. Yes, it's almost.
Because I know everything
ape-like.
and you know nothing.
And so in Antlers, there is this jump scare in the shed or / garage that I remember watching this. I caught this at home. So this was just in my screening room, but I had the surround sound jammed up.
Yeah.
There was a jump scare, and you know how I'm jumpy.
You levitate.
I literally came out of the chair. I think I jumped up so much I fell out of the chair. It got me so damn good. But I love this creature. So
I'm trying to remember this particular jump scare. Can you give me any more to go on?
Have you seen Antlers?
Yeah, dude, I loved Antlers. We were high on it here.
Yeah, it takes place in like the shed in the garage, and it's just like very quiet. It's like about halfway through the movie, and something comes through one of the windows, and it's just like one of those quick, loud, boom, gets you kind of moment because you're not expecting it. It's a good one. Antlers.
The Wendigo.
Wendigo.
That's a great choice, man. We see a Wendigo at John LaFlamboy's haunted house. He always has one in the woods.
He does.
Great stuff.
Creepy, always.
Such an underrated monster, underused, and I was happy to see it in Antlers. All right. We're talking about monsters that are underappreciated. We're doing this in honor of the Sandworms, which come from a movie, Dune, that has a great cast. Get a load of this cast. Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward.
I know where you're going already.
Reba McEntire.
No.
Victor Wong. I could go on. There's so many great people in the movie Tremors, which also happens to have a sandworm-like creature known as a graboid. But that's just a placeholder.
What is it called?
Graboids.
I did not know they had a name.
So there's a whole beat in the movie where they're kind of just waiting around, and they talk about, they're like workshopping different names for the creature. And it's actually Wong's character who comes up with graboid, and it just sticks. So they're freaking graboids.
Wow. I have not seen the movie since I was like a young teen, I would say.
This is one that I would spin all the time. Tremors is one of my favorite. Came out in 1990. Just stuck with me for some reason. It rang a chord, and I loved it.
I don't even really remember it that well.
Oh, dude, revisit
But I remember somewhat liking it. But then there was that Critters movie also.
Oh, Critters is amazing.
That was all right around that same time. These kinds of movies were popping out.
Critters gave us Leonardo DiCaprio.
Critters 3, not the first one. Critters 3, I believe.
The series is responsible for...
Speaking of threes, my number 3 pick is another Star Wars creature, and this one is underrated. About a year ago, I realized I've seen every Star Wars movie multiple times, except Solo, a Star Wars story. Have you ever seen it a second time?
No.
Just the once that we probably saw the press screening.
Just the once, yeah. What a disappointment.
Okay, so I went back. My brother, what happened, I was talking to my brother, and he was like, oh, I'm watching Solo. And I'm like, geez, you're watching that? He's like, it's not so bad. I don't know why everybody gives it such a bad time. It's a Star Wars movie. I'm really thinking, now that I'm not looking at it with the critical eye and hyped up about it, let me go back and watch it like I would a Star Wars movie. Does it have that adventure feel? And wow, did I enjoy it a lot more. Now, I'm not going to say it turned the movie into some masterpiece, but now that I wasn't like highly anticipating, waiting to be critical of it, I could just sit back and watch it like a normal Star Wars movie. Wasn't all that bad. Not like god awful. I enjoyed it the second time. And in there is my creature. It does have a name. I had to look it up. I called it the giant squid in space, but the name is the Suma Vermoth, which is this giant squid that is inside the Kessel Run. At the end, when the Millennium Falcon is making the Kessel Run, it has to get near the black hole. And this giant space squid, I mean, it's just massive, is trying to also grab the Millennium Falcon during the Kessel Run. Both of them are getting too close to the black hole. It's a wonderful sequence. And what happens is the squid gets sucked into the black hole, and the Millennium Falcon, obviously...
It made it in less than 12 parsecs.
Right, gets past the black hole and finishes the run. I actually watched it the second time. I was like, damn, that was a lot more exciting than I ever gave it credit for the first time. Again, I'm not going to say it turned into a four-jaw movie, but now that the expectations were gone and I guess the bar had been lowered and I watched it, Solo's not all that bad, Matt.
Solo's the one with Woody Harrelson.
Correct.
Yeah, I remember there were a few moments that I actually enjoyed.
Right.
Yeah. And we do see Darth Maul, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
At the very end, don't you see Darth Maul? He meets his girlfriend, the one that he lost, and
we were getting excited because we thought it was going to be Darth Maul.
It's Darth Maul, dude.
Is it?
Yes.
I throw that in the fish tank so that we're not.
Hey, listen, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct.
So that was my number 3, was the giant squid in Solo. Your number 2.
Easy way to look that up, KP, is Ray Park in...
Fine, that's great. Go on to your number 2.
Okay, all right. My number 2, Ryan. I am going with a Bong Joon-ho classic.
You're going with the host.
I'm going with the host. The name of the creature is Gwomel, or Gwomel. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm going with Gwomel. It's a mutant carp. And the thing, I remember Charles Klein showed me the host, and this was back when Bong Joon-ho was a nobody,
right?
And he was making this kind of a low rent monster movie, and Chuck was like, "You got to see this; it's something special." And boy, is it! I mean, the host is a really good movie, and the creature is terrifying. Mm-hmm. It doesn't wait to get started either. Yeah, it's very ugly. The movie just gets started, you learn a little bit about the characters, and then boom, they're in a situation where a giant monster is chasing them around.
Right, comes out of the river.
Yeah,
and when it comes out, it's quite shocking to see the creature so early on in the movie.
Right. Yeah.
Usually there's a lead up. You know how we're trained. American audiences are trained. Oh, we're excited to see the dinosaur or King Kong.
First, you just see a toe, and then you see a tail, and no, just boom.
Bong Joon-ho just goes for it. Yeah,
Yep.
bam, here's your monster.
And it's terrifying, and it makes it, I don't know, it feels more real because of that, I don't know. I like it.
I like the host as well. Honorable mention for me. My number 3, an alien from the movie Super 8. And it has a name. It's Cooper is the alien's name.
I've seen the movie. I'm trying to remember what the alien looks like.
So if you'll remember, the alien was on the train crash. There was the kids making the Super 8 movie, the train crash. And then the alien is using the water tower in the town. And it's a smart alien. Everybody's like scared of the alien, but the young kid finally finds out that all it's really trying to do is build a new spaceship and go home. And so it is originally taking some people, but we come to find out that the alien wasn't necessarily all bad, probably afraid itself being, trapped on Earth.
God, I got to rewatch that one.
Great soundtrack in there. Elle Fanning, really introduction to her.
Very much like an 80s throwback.
It really was. And, J.J. Abrams went for that because he was looking at like all the old Spielberg movies, and it's almost like an homage to, E.T. and so on and so forth. But the alien's got a really cool design, and it ends up, like I said, being, not necessarily it's the evil alien. It's an alien trying to build his own spacecraft to go home. It's a pretty cool ending. I love the music at the end and the moment.
God, do you remember the movie The Explorers?
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie, dude.
It's a good one.
It is.
So here's our number 1. What's a underappreciated creature, Matt?
Okay. Everyone loves Frankenstein, but I think that the bride of Frankenstein is far too underappreciated. Now, she does have her fans among the goth set, people I might find myself hanging out with. But in the general Halloween atmosphere, I feel like the bride is just too often mixed up with Morticia. She's underappreciated and yet belongs at the top, the apex of a list like this.
Right, the Bride of the Hoss.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, Frankenstein.
Elsa Lancaster, who was only on screen for 5 minutes, turned in this performance that, at least visually, and the scream, is just so iconic. It has stood the test of time for, geez, man. I mean, how long are we talking? 60 years?
Unreal.
Or more? 70? I don't know. Something like that. Black and white film, long time ago. The Bride of Frankenstein.
Like it. My number 1 pick might not be underrated because I know there's fans of the books and the fans of the movies that love these creatures.
It's tough to have a number 1 on an underrated list.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I put it down at number 1, it was because I would like even to know more about these creatures. I'm a huge fan of them, and I'd almost like to see a short movie on just these characters.
Ghoulies.
And it's I hope I'm saying it right, the Ents, the talking trees in The Lord of the Rings, and we see them in the Two Towers.
I thought we were doing sci-fi. That's fantasy.
Oh, 1 + 1 = 3. You know what I mean? And we're right around. We're right around here. Come on.
I was so ready to support you having a slightly popular creature, but then you go with Ents.
The Bride of Frankenstein is horror.
Right.
No, it's science fiction.
Oh,
there's
boy.
a scientist in the movie who brings the creature back to life.
Chuds are documentary.
Oh, that's true. You got me on that one.
All right, good. So I get to cheat a little bit also, and I cheat with the Ents.
Guess.
But they're talking trees. I have not read Lord of the
Silmarillion?
Rings, and I haven't read any of the books. So when I saw the Two Towers, that was the first time I was introduced to these talking trees. And again, I think going back to the Sandworms and why I put these on my list and at number 1, much like the Sandworms, I thought could be viewed as being goofy looking when we're riding sandworms in the desert. Talking trees, really, they're going to have it.
Well, they're not exactly trees, but go on.
Peter Jackson completely pulls it off. I mean, it's not like it's even remotely goofy. It's actually awesome the whole way through. The sounds, the voices that he used that actually
Those gravelly kind of,
deep-toned voices are great. The way they move, the sound design, they feel textured. There's something tactile about the actual trees that makes them feel like they're real trees walking around inside the forest. I loved all of that, and so for me, I would like to even learn more about them. Maybe if I read the books, I would, but just from the movies, I would like to even see more.
Well, in the Power of the Rings series, like in the opening sequence, you see an Ent. Very, very briefly, like just a profile of an Ent, like blink if you'll miss it kind of thing.
But we have not met in the series. We have not met one.
Yeah. But after we're done recording, if you want to talk about Ents, I could go for like a half. We'll go to Entmoot. It's like Bonnaroo for trees.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's fun.
Jesus.
We'll go. Teach you all about the Ents.
Honorable mentions for me was the Rancor, as you mentioned. What else did I have here? Do I have anything else that was not mentioned?
I got a couple. While you're looking.
Oh, the Crawlers is what they're called from The Descent. I love The Descent horror. And they're in the caves. Really weird, creepy-ass creature that really can't see but are, again, using sound waves to sort of move around in the caves. The Pale Man. Not necessarily underrated because everybody
also not
loves
sci-fi.
And I don't know if you count this. I guess it's fantasy. Wizard of Oz, the winged monkeys. People do love them.
No,
but we could use more on the winged monkeys. Make a whole damn movie on the winged monkeys.
Yeah, that one I'll give a pass to because it's a different world, which kind of makes it a little bit sci-fi-ish.
And last but not least, Clover from Cloverfield. Very awesome creature that we don't talk enough about.
I got a couple more. Speaking of Peter Jackson, how about the Sumatran rat monkey from Dead Alive, or as it's known in New Zealand, Brain Dead? Great movie, great creature. Speaking of great creatures, you got to go with a Jim Henson creature, and I am going with the Skeksis from the Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
Those things scared the shit out of me when I was little, man. To tell you the truth, they're still frightening to look at. Such a great
Just
creature.
like the winged monkeys in Oz.
And they would catch the gelflings and suck the life force out of them with their crazy machine. Oof, man, nightmare fuel. Love them. And then I don't think these are very underrated. That's why I left them off the list. But Gremlins. Just wanted to say
definitely,
Gremlins.
Yeah, definitely not underrated.
No, but they're fucking cool.
Appropriately rated.
Yeah, maybe so.
We jump into the late fish tank to make sure we had our facts right here before we play trivia. KP, can you help us out?
Yeah, of course. So our first one, it was Who Was in Chuds with who played Mr. McAllister. That's John Hurd.
Right, John Hurd. He's one that when I hear the name, I remember. I know who that is.
Yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah,
filmography like that. How can you forget? And then was that Darth Maul at the end of Solo? That is confirmed, Darth Maul.
Yeah, jeez, Ryan, you just saw it again.
I know.
Come on.
I mean, I forget these things.
I also, I could be mistaken. It's been a thick minute since I've seen the Clone Wars series, but wasn't there a thing where there's only, like, it's Ganondorf rules, where there's only one male of that species, and the rest of them are like the Asajj Ventress females?
No. Wait, was she a Night Sister? Mm-hmm. Right?
That's her whole shtick, is that she's like... Yeah.
I forget the name of the race and I forget the name of their planet, but that's where they are. That's where, what's his name was hiding? The blue guy. God, man, I'm just blanking on his name.
Cad Bane?
Not Cad Bane.
He's blue, but I don't know who you're
He's the guy
about.
from Shadows of the Empire who basically takes over for the Emperor.
You're talking about...
yeah, it's Grand Admiral Thrawn, Ryan. Yeah. So that's...
hiding away.
He was hiding on the Night Sisters planet, and they... are a matriarchal society, as I understand this.
Right. Isn't that the thing? Because they're matriarchal. There's only one. I thought it was Ganondorf rules.
I don't think there's only... listen, this is some deep Star Wars stuff. I don't think there's only one male, but I think that Darth Maul was like kind of... like usually the males aren't allowed to use the Force and stuff like that, so he's a bit of an anomaly. I got to do some research on that.
Interesting.
It is. I love me some lore, especially Star Wars lore.
I do love Darth Maul. I was glad to see that we may get a return in some form.
Maybe that one didn't exactly hit.
But go back and watch the movie again. You'll enjoy Solo. That's what you got to do tonight.
I'd rather watch Rogue One again.
Well, are you ready to play some trivia?
I am.
All right, here we go. In honor of Dune, playing Dune Part 2 cast movie trivia, and all the questions are written the same. It is, this Dune cast member also starred in, and I'll name a movie, and then you just got to give me which Dune cast member
Got it.
starred in said movie. Got it?
Got it. Christopher Walken.
Here we go.
Okay.
You got your cast in front of you, so
I
you
do.
know who's in Dune Part 2.
Yes.
We're only doing Dune Part 2. Here we go. This Dune cast member also starred in Interstellar.
In Interstellar. Wow.
One of the Dune Part 2 cast members also starred in Interstellar.
Wow. You know, like, it wasn't Florence Pugh. I want to say it was Stellan Skarsgård. No?
Incorrect. We were looking for Timothée Chalamet.
Really?
Timothée Chalamet is in Interstellar. Yes, that is true. He plays his son, who grows up to be Casey Affleck later on in life.
Oh, that's why I don't remember.
But as a kid, it's Timothée Chalamet. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Matt is
Way to start me off with a tough one.
0 for 1. Question 2. This Dune Part 2 cast member also starred in 7 Psychopaths.
And can you really say starred with Chalamet? He doesn't star.
I'm saying starred because they appeared in.
All right. Christopher Walken.
That is correct. You are on the board. 1 right out of 2. Question 3, Matt. This Dune Part 2 cast member also starred in Mother with Jennifer Lawrence. Dune Part 2 cast member also in Mother.
Javier Bardem.
That is correct. Well done, Matt. Do pretty good when you got the list in front of you here.
Yeah.
Easier to pick from.
Yeah, it's a process of elimination. Pretty sure it wasn't Dave Bautista yet.
Right. It is 3 questions in, and Matt has 2 right. Question 4. This Dune cast member also starred in 2013's Riddick.
Now that was probably Dave Bautista.
You are not stumped this week, my friend. Last question. This Dune cast member also starred in 2016's Hail Caesar.
Oh, that's a Coen Brothers. Josh Brolin.
That is correct. Wow, 4 out of 5. The only one you missed was the star, Chalamet.
Yeah. Well, that was a really tricky one.
It was, because you weren't thinking Chalamet in Interstellar.
No, I mean,
because he wasn't a star at that point.
No, and
Yeah.
Casey Affleck replaces him in like the second act.
Right, for sure. Yeah. A little tricky.
Definitely. Hey, not bad.
Did well.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
I'll take it.
Wow. Brings us to the end of a very fun and entertaining Jaw.
As always.
Not underrated.
No. We should have had Derek on this one.
I know.
Yeah.
Totally. Shout out to Derek.
He's overrated. That's a joke, Derek. Please come back. We don't think you're overrated.
Absolutely not. First and foremost, we want to thank our engineer, producer, editor, KP.
Yes, think you guys wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I will say I am a little offended that not once on either of your lists was KP an underrated creature. But I'm also flattered because that means I'm, if it's one thing people say about me, I am deservedly rated. I get what I deserve.
I will say what was underrated. Again, hung out with KP this past Saturday at Pancakes and Booze.
Oh, yeah.
KP displayed art, beautiful, all over, right in front of the DJ section. And it's at Reggie's. I had a great time. I was out there on Saturday. Well done, KP.
Oh, thank you. Jawheads, hit us up for prints if you want them. I got plenty.
You got to get me some links to throw in the show notes. I will do that.
I'll get you something.
Okay. And hey, while we're at it, we're thanking people. Let's thank you, the listener, the Jawhead. Thank you so much. If you are looking for a way to get more involved with us, trust me when I tell you, join our Patreon. We're doing fun things, and we're about to unlock some even cooler things. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but I will very soon. So hop on. We're about to record another movie roundup, which is our companion sidecar podcast, where whatever slipped through the cracks on the main show, we clean it up and round them up, shoot them dead, review some extra movies for you guys. They're usually pretty short, 10 minutes long at the most. So join us on Patreon. Any level unlocks our entire back catalog.
Yes, and the other way you can support us is by leaving us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. That helps us a great deal as well. At least leave a star rating. Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt Kay, and keep on jawing about the movies.